Hey there. Can a cheap zoom lens match the quality of a prime for landscape photography? I have a feeling it can, but we're going to test it today. And if you stick around to the end, I'll have a bonus tip. Okay, I've arrived in Flat Rock, and I had to park at a church and make my way down, maybe about a half a kilometer, something like that, before the trail begins. And I can start looking for lovely images, hopefully. And as I alluded to in a previous video, the assertion I made that you don't need an expensive lens to do landscape photography. So I'm going to test that theory today in a very unscientific test between an expensive prime Fuji and another Fuji inexpensive zoom lens. So not really a fair test, but it'd be fun anyway. This is the beginning of the trail. Kind of anticlimactic, but I think it's going to get better. I think this could be a shot. Certainly with my 13 millimeter, but also, oh my goodness, ice. Also I could test my other lens. Do my little lens test. Oh, yeah, maybe. Okay. You know, I like these tripods. They're not as fast as the clip style, but they're secure and just about a quarter of a turn to open them up and close them down, so it's not so bad at all. I think this might be a good spot to get the lens comparison out of the way. Lots of contrasty light. Not much in the sky, but I'm going to start with the Fujinon 56mm prime, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm going to eliminate the sky on this one, just the foreground. And let's see, this will be a good, I think it'll be a good test of the two lenses. I'll just do one just like that. Just like so. Maybe nothing in the sky, so I guess I could do that, something like that too. Or, nah, I'll go a bit more detail oriented. Get that little breaky waves there. And yeah, this would be a good test. Okay, f11, 125 ISO, and my shutter speed is 1/20th of a second. And a 2-second timer. And here we go. Good. Okay, that's the 56. So this is the other lens. Very inexpensive zoom, 50 to 230 millimeters. So crazy range on this lens. And I've always known it to be, you know, adequate. But I'd love to see how it compares with a prime and an expensive prime at that. So we'll put that on. Now, I'm not using polarizers on any of these, either of these. I'm not a real fan of polarizers over water, and especially with a lot of blue sky. They just give kind of an uneven look in the sky, and also the water looks way too dark for me. I know I could dial it into my preference, but yeah, I don't find it helps my image much. So I'll dial this into approximately 56 millimeters. There we go. Focus. F11, 1/25 of a second, or ISO 125, F11, and same shutter speed. 1/20 of a second. This seems to be a much better location for my 13 millimeter. I get the foreground rocks here, framing the whole image, lines leading in. So I'm using KF Concept Kent Faith filters. I like them because they're inexpensive and they do the job. I haven't had any issues with them whatsoever. So I'm using an 82 on my 13 millimeter because otherwise you get vignetting around the edges. And they're magnetic, so they're lovely that way. I'd never go back. I found a slightly different location. I can get a little bit more foreground rock in there, and I'm also going to do a focus stack. Foreground, midground, and background. Whoa. This is lovely. The problem is, though, even though you find a lovely location, if the light's not right, it's such a disappointment. In any case, it's probably a good place to stop for lunch. Well, it will be interesting to see what kind of images I get today. It's a little warmer than seasonal, I guess. Seems like it's about 2 degrees. And the light's changing all the time, getting a little higher. Might be good, might be bad. I'll never know until I continue on. But for now, I'm going to have a little lunch. Is so close to my land, I'm going to have to do a focus focus on that rock, and essentially dip down and then back in the waterfall, and then fishing together. So what I've settled on here is a 3 exposure focus stack at 2 minutes per exposure using an ND10 stop and a polarizer. These are kind of fun to use because, well, you never know what you're going to get until the end, which is the way it used to be with film photography. So it kind of brings a little of that feeling back. Well, the weather's warmed up considerably. Don't need this hat anymore. Ridiculous thing. There we go, that's better. All right, here we go. Wow, what a gorgeous day. I'm on the other side of the bay now. I was over on that side this morning and the weather was, well, the sun was quite harsh, but now it's clouded over and it looks like I've got some other options today. Okay, I'm on the trail to Flat Rock and it's rocky, but not too flat. Let's see how we go. Very icy too. Wow, this place is incredible. Should be able to get some good shots today. Potentially interesting shot here. Okay, here's the shot I've pictured. I'll show you through the camera in a second. So I've got this point kind of leading out into the frame here. This rock kind of anchoring the left side, giving it a little bit of balance. I tried to get up a little higher, as high as I could, because I wanted a little separation between this point and the horizon line. So it separated a little bit, so it's not so bad. Of course, I'll do an exposure blend with the foreground and the sky. Would have been handy to have a graduated filter, but it's just as easy to do it in post. And we'll have an extra filter to carry around. And really, a graduated filter only works if you have a straight horizon line. If you've got mountains and trees and stuff, then it will obscure and darken that as well. So we'll see what this looks like. And if it's any good, I'll show you. Here we go. So this is my shot. I'm going to do a focus stack on the rocks in the foreground, kind of the middle ground and the background, and stack it all together in Photoshop. And I've got this nice anchoring rocks here, a leading line out to the point, and kind of a stabilizing balance of that other point on the other side of the bay. And the sky looks gorgeous, so let's grab that one. Okay, 2-second timer so I don't rock my camera. And another one, middle ground, focus on the background, the point across the bay, focus there, and last one. Great. If that's any good, you shall see it. Oh wow, that looks interesting. Oh yeah, very, very cool. I'll show you what I'm looking at here. I think it's always a good idea to look behind you when you're shooting. You never know what you're going to find. This is going to be an exposure blend for sure. With this is so bright out here, it's almost hitting the sunlight, flaring the lens. I may have to flag the lens a little bit. And the foreground looks really interesting, and I think I may shoot that. All right, as I walk back to the car, there's some crazy random boulders all over this bluff. It's quite incredible. This has been the craziest day weather-wise. Hot sun in the morning, rain, and then cloud in the afternoon. And it's warmer now. I could finally take off that ridiculous black hat. And so, time to go home, and we'll see what we have. Hey, That was a fun day. I'm exhausted. Anyway, let's have a look at that lens test. And here we go. We have the zoom on the left and the prime on the right. And let's get in at 100% and have a look. And it's no surprise, the prime wins this test. But, you know, I got to tell you, that zoom is not bad. And these are raw right out of the camera, no processing at all. And I'm got to tell you, with a little bit of sharpening, that zoom could be it could be fine. I have no problem with that at all. Anyway, that was interesting. And they were both at f11, so the sweet spot of both lenses. So we've got, it's a pretty good test. Anyway, as I promised, I have a bonus tip. And it's one that's always stuck with me my entire career. Many years ago, a friend of mine was in a creative slump. And he walked into his studio and he decided to, in his words, shoot himself out of the slump. So he grabbed the first thing that he saw in his studio, and it was a styrofoam cup that a courier had left. Anyway, he took it into the studio and spent all morning shooting that cup, examining its texture, its shape, its form, how the light reflects off it, how light transmits through it. And he learned a lot about shooting, and he got re-inspired by shooting that coffee cup, that styrofoam cup, a simple thing like that. So I tried to, in my years of teaching, instill that in my students, that it doesn't matter what you shoot. If you're in a slump, just shoot anything. Just look around the room. There's a dozen things that you could pick up and shoot. Rulers, paper, X-Acto knives, whatever you see, take it into the studio and explore its qualities. So after that fairly lengthy speech to my students, some smart ass yelled out, "Let's shoot a pickle." So we shot a pickle. Anyway, that's it for me this year. I'll see you sometime in January. Have a happy holiday, and we'll see you then.